From last video, we stated this main theorem called the Cairo-Theodori theorem that basically tells us if we restrict an outer measure to all its measurable subsets, then we get, first of all, a sigma algebra, and then we have a complete measure. That's our goal to show. Last video, we proved that all the mu star measurable sets is actually an algebra. And now in this video, we're going to finish the proof and show that first of all, I actually have a sigma algebra, and second, I'm actually having a complete measure. Let's get started. Before I move into proving this B is actually a sigma algebra, let's first show a little lemma. I want to show that we can, if I have a finitely many disjoint set inside this algebra B, well, we know it's an algebra, then the mu star of E intersect their union is actually equal to the sum of the mu star of E intersect each one of them. All right. Again, because I only care about finitely many of these AN, it suffices to show just two of them. So let's consider what happens when you have two. So let's consider E intersect A1 union A2. All right. Well, I can break it into the part that's actually contained in A1 and the part that's not in A1. So this is mu star of E intersect A1 intersect union A2. And I treat this as a whole and I intersect the A1 part and I do the A1 complement part. So E intersect A1 union A2, but intersect A1 complement. All right, so let's draw a picture. So here is the set E. Well, you can have A1 intersect E, that's here. Because A2 is disjoint from A1, so A2 has to live inside the A1 complement. So A2 must be here. So when you take their union and then intersect A1, so first of all, this one, that clearly has to be A1. All right, so this is clearly mu star of E intersect A1. But if you consider the second one, what is inside A1 union A2 but not in A1? Well, they're exactly the things that's in A2 because A2 is disjoint from A1. Whatever that's not inside A1 has to be coming from A2. So the second part is the mu star of E intersect A2. All right. So this proves two of them, and you can use induction to add to any n of them. All right. So now we have this little lemma. Let's prove our main result. So first of all, let's prove that the B is actually a sigma algebra. All right. So we already showed that it's an algebra. And if you recall when we talk about the sigma algebra, if I want to show an algebra is a sigma algebra, I just need to show it's actually closed under countable disjoint union. So let's prove that. So let's let AN be a collection of disjoint elements inside B. Okay, so AN are disjoint. I need to show that their union is inside B, so let's give their union a name. Let's call it the letter B. That's the countable disjoint union of these A. Okay, I need to show it's inside B. So to show that, let's let their finite union be this B sub big N, so n going from 1 to big N of these AN. Well, because B is an algebra, we know that this finite union is in B. Okay, so that has no problem. So to show B is in B, I need to somehow break this mu star of E using the set B. Okay, well, I don't know how to do that yet, but I know Bn is mu star manageable, so I can break it using Bn. So because Bn is mu star manageable, is equals to the E intersect each Bn and its complement. Okay, so E intersect Bn complement. All right, so let's consider these two separately. Well, let's consider the second one first, actually. So B is the union of all the AN, but Bn is only the first n of them. So we certainly know that Bn is smaller than B. Well, so because it's smaller, then if you take the complement, you get something bigger. Okay, it contains the complement of B. And because mu star is monotone, when you want to replace something bigger by something smaller, you will get decreased. So let's copy the first term here. I didn't change anything for the first one, but the second one, I can replace it by the smaller set B complement, and I get a smaller value in terms of mu star. Well, now let's look at the first term. Now Bn is a disjoint union of An. And by the lemma, we know how to compute this mu star of E intersect a disjoint union. Okay, this is really just equals to the summation of mu star of E intersect each one of them, and I sum them up and go from 1 to big N. Okay, I'm now changing the second term. All right, so this is really a result of our lemma. And now, as you can see, the second term doesn't really depend on n, okay? B is fixed, doesn't depend on n. And the first term is true for all n, so this is for all n. So you can certainly let n goes to infinity, and recall this mu star is positive, so when n goes to infinity, the summation can only get bigger. So the mu star of E being bigger than all of these finite sum will definitely bigger than their infinite sum, okay? So what we have is the mu star of E will be greater than or equals to this infinite sum of 1 going from 1 to n of this mu star of E intersect An plus mu star of E intersect B complement. And I now want this n goes to infinity, so let's replace it by infinity. Okay, so this is let n goes to infinity. All right, so now again, A and are disjoint. So if you consider the mu star of B intersect E, let's write E first. So E intersect B, well, this is really the mu star of the union n going from 1 to infinity of E intersect each one of these AN. And you know by the sigma subadditivity, you know this is less than or equals to this infinite sum. Okay, and going from 1 to infinity of mu star E intersect AN. So this infinite sum, if you want to replace it by mu star E intersect B, you will always get something even smaller. Okay, so by that, you replace this one, okay, by the mu star E intersect B. So you get this whole thing mu star of E is greater than or equals to the mu star E intersect B plus the mu star of E intersect B complement. And again, this is actually enough because the other equality is trivial. You just use the subadditivity. So this proves that B is mu star measurable, so B is in B, okay? So B is now closed under countable disjoint union, and we saw that because B is an algebra, that will imply B is actually a sigma algebra, okay? So we're done the first part. Okay. All right, now let's show that the second part. We need to show that if I restrict this mu star on this newly defined sigma algebra of mu star measurable sets, then that's a complete measure. All right. So to show that it's a complete measure, well, let's first of all the mu of the empty set. That's going to be 0 because mu star of the empty set is equal to 0. Okay, so this is really equals to mu star of the empty set. Well, the mu of any set is greater than 0, so it's a positive measure. Okay, the positivity is fairly simple. Now we're left to show that the mu will satisfy the sigma additivity. So let's let an to be disjoint subsets inside B. So an are all inside B. Well, if we just go back to our previous calculation a little bit, what we showed is that you see here we have a mu star of E, which is greater than or equals to this infinite sum plus something else, and is greater than or equals to mu star of E. So we know they're actually all equal, okay? So just by the previous calculation, so if I let B to be the union of n going from 1 to infinity of this an, then what we showed is that the mu star of E for any E is actually equal to the summation n going from 1 to infinity of E intersect, well, mu star of E intersect each one of the an plus mu star of E intersect B complement. We know this is true for any set E inside X, okay? So how about let's just pick E to be B, because we want to know what's the mu star of B or mu of B, okay? So let's let E equals to B. Well, we just showed B is a sigma algebra, so this letter B being a countable union of the elements, that's in the sigma algebra. So the mu star of B, based on this calculation, let's replace all the E by B. So I have this is equal to this infinite sum of mu star B intersect each one of the an plus the mu star of B intersect B complement. Well, first of all, B and B complement has no intersection. Their intersection is the empty set. So this term is 0. Okay, this is 0. And B is the union of all the an, so their intersection is simply equals to an. Okay, there's nothing else in there, so this is equals to the summation of mu star of an. Well, B is in B, so I can simply write it as mu of B, and because an are also inside B, inside the sigma algebra B, I can write mu of an. And B by definition is just mu of the countable union or countable disjoint union of these an. So this proves the sigma additivity. Okay, so mu is a measure. All right. Well, y is a complete measure. Well, this will be fairly simple. So now suppose we have some element inside this B. Let's say A is inside B, but the measure of A is equal to 0. Okay. So now let's suppose B is contained in A. I need to show that B is measurable or mu star measurable. Okay. So how do I show that? Well, first of all, because A is measured 0 under mu, and we know the A under mu star, well, that's by definition, it's just mu of A, that's going to be 0. Even though we don't know whether B is measurable, well, we know that B being a subset of mu star satisfies the monotonic property, so the mu star of B has to be less than or equals to the mu star of A, which is equal to 0, and you know it's non-negative. So at least we know B is having mu star equals to 0. Okay, is a null set under mu star, but I need to show it's actually measurable. Okay. Well, why is it measurable? Well, let's take any E. We need to compare the mu star of E with the mu star of E intersect B plus its complement. Okay, the mu star E intersect B complement. Okay, we need to show these two are actually equal, or at least suffices to show the left-hand side is bigger. All right, so because the mu star of B is equal to 0, well, now if you intersect E, you get something even smaller, okay? So E intersect B is clearly a subset of B. So now the B is already having mu star 0. The monotonicity tells you the E intersect B will have mu star also equal to 0, okay? So the other part is mu star of E intersect B complement. Well, basically, I just need to compare that with mu star of E. Well, I know it cannot exceed mu star of E because it's, again, a smaller set. So again, by monotonic, this is bounded above by mu star of E. And you can just add a 0 that's still bounded above by mu star of E. And you know the 0 is the mu star of E intersect B. So what do we have? We have mu star of E is greater than or equals to the mu star of E intersect B, which is equal to 0, by the way. And the other part, mu star of E intersect B complement. And we know that's enough because of the sub-additivity. Okay, so this shows that B is actually inside the sigma algebra B. In fact, we actually showed that if you have a set that has outer measure 0, then automatically it's measurable under this mu star. So let's finish the entire proof of the Carathéodory theorem. Now let's do one quick example before we move into a more general way of constructing these outer measures. So if you recall what you did in PMATH 450, you're essentially first constructing what we call the Lebesgue outer measure by considering the set E of all the open intervals, okay? So you defined a set E, okay, to be all the open intervals, and you let F to be its length, B minus A, okay? From the first part of this lecture, we know that you can define the Lebesgue outer measure using this F. So let me just use F here. That's an outer measure. That's the Lebesgue outer measure. And then you use this Carathéodory theorem. You get a mu, which is a complete measure, on the mu star F measurable sets. Okay, on the mu star measurable sets. And the mu star measurable sets is basically the Lebesgue measure on the real line. Okay, this is the usual Lebesgue measure, or Lebesgue sigma algebra. Okay, so this Carathéodory theorem, when you apply it, apply this procedure starting from open intervals, and then you move on to the outer measure, and you run the Carathéodory, you recover exactly what you did in PMATH 450.